Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you can hear me okay. Basically, talking about hurricane stocks for the next half hour. We've done about 6 trades in GNRC this year and are 6 for 6, but it's all an art, not a science. So I just want to go over that. Not going to give specific recommendations. That's for the individual rooms, just like Martha mentioned in about Taylor's rate. So what are we watching in here? Well, number one is a list of the hurricane stocks. And I even put this on StockTwits just so you'd have it. So I can't, I don't think I can copy and paste it in the Restream room because I can't put, attachments, but I can put this over in the Essentials room. So if you join one of the mastery rooms, you get Essentials room included, which is a good thing in there. So let me just show you. Here's the hurricane stocks, but I'll just show you what we're watching. So we're watching over here. We're watching the Beacon Roofing, Denny's, DEO is liquor. So you can put Budweiser in there too. Floor Construction, Generac, generators, Home Depot, construction, same with Lowe's. Wood, yeah, that's in there as a lumber play. And marine products, just in case all the boats get destroyed. So this is a good little group. And XYLM is into water treatment. But a nice play in here, and I did put that in there, is actually Berkshire Hathaway. So they have their fingers in everything. The problem is you always have that risk with Warren Buffett not being at the helm. So I'm not sure how much he's at the helm already. But you'll see a lot of these aren't up today. And the deal in there is they shouldn't be up now, and I'll show you why. Most of the ones, like Home Depot's gotten nailed because of growth concerns with the broad market. That's why Caterpillar, Deere, Home Depot were down. So the other thing, Home Depot has a habit of going up as the hurricane is hitting, not a Cat 1. So Cat 1's not a big deal. It is, personally, I'm sure, if you're there, but it isn't when it comes to these stocks. So just keep that in mind in there. So the way I'm looking at it in here is this. I'm going and I'm putting a list of the hurricane stocks. Now, I've been doing a lot of this. There. List of the hurricane stocks. And the easy thing is just go into Hurricane Ian. That was a pretty destructive one. End of September was when it formed in 2022. It's really see this. It's the deadliest hurricane to strike Florida since 1935, Labor Day 1. It was unnamed. So I want to show you this really interesting. Here's Home Depot. Now, keep in mind the stock was in a downtrend. It was in a downtrend. So you're going to see that in here. It was in a nice downtrend right here until the hurricane formed. So the hurricane formed right here. And the stock went straight up right here, as you see. Now, the reason I'm showing you that, just look at the bottom. Do you see the little white box? That's 926 right in there. On the other hand, look at the SPX. And look what happened at 926. It wasn't like the whole market was pulling it up. In fact, the whole market was going down. Yeah, Home Depot led to the upside. But it had to wait until a hurricane formed. So the SPX going down, Home Depot going down, hurricane had to form, and it went up. Now, GNRC worked, but it doesn't work every time. And that's why I mentioned it art, not a science. So, and keep in mind, you can go on squeezes, you can go on all of this, but there's a lot to be said for experience and know when to trade these things and when not to. So let me just show you GNRC. We have had a tremendous amount of success playing this after the May earnings. After the May earnings, not before. Then playing it on the spikes. The spikes. So, I mean, on the sell-offs. And if we see like a rectangle. So here we played it when that last hurricane developed. This is more of a pure play. So now it doesn't work every time. So you're going to see this, that when you go into September of 2022, remember how well it worked with Home Depot? GNRC got destroyed. That's right. It has to do with that May-June rally. Look at this. Does this look familiar? Yeah, that's after the May earnings into the middle of June. So you go into here after the May earnings into the middle of June. Isn't that amazing? This one was a little earlier. So now we have a more active hurricane season. So a lot of these are going to matter a lot more than they have other times. But just keep that in mind in there, the GNRCs. Then you have stuff like BECN roofing. So you might say, well, how's that acted? Well, I'm not trying to be glib here, but if you have only water damage, BECN roofing isn't going to go up. You need wind damage. So there's three things that matter with these hurricanes. So number one, flood risk. Number two, damage risk, like whole houses going out with wind. You know, electric risk, water risk. There's actually more than three. And then the area of the country that gets hit. So if it hits the Northeast, believe it or not, they're more into spam. So this put me on the map in TradingView in 2012. What am I talking about? Hurricane Sandy. So Hurricane Sandy in 2012 did this. So you're going to see, very interesting. It worked, and I posted it before a rally. That's what's always cool. So here is Hurricane Sandy hitting here, right in this area. Hormel doubled, almost doubled. So, you know, I tried to email everybody about it, but it was labeled as spam. But no, all kidding aside, it exploded after Hurricane Sandy. It seems like Northeast has an appetite for spam when the electricity out. So I don't know what to tell you about that, but now how about going into 2022? As you see, it didn't work at all. Sort of, kind of, a little when that hit, but not much, a little. So then you might be like, well, if you don't have electricity, how about Hasbro? Board games or playing with, with dolls or something, Mattel and Hasbro. You're going to see, not really. Not really. Doesn't really work. I've gone way back, hardly ever works. The ones that work the best are Home Depot, Lowe's, and Generac. And Hormel if it hits the Northeast. Now, another one that Lorna mentioned, and it's a very creative idea, is how about Denny's? If your lights are out, do you go to Denny's? Well, what did it do in September? Darn right, it went straight up. Look at that. Went up 50%. 50% in 2022. So yeah, put your Denny's up there. Now you might say, well, that hit Florida, so is Denny's more affected? You know, do they go more to Denny's? Well, what happened in 2012? 2012 with Hurricane Sandy. Yeah, Denny's went up as well. Just keep that in mind. You got the Denny's. How about the liquor stocks? Let's put Budweiser. So we're going to put it in Hurricane Sandy. So guess what? It went up. It went up. How about 2022? Well, the S&P went up right there. So that's just a coincidence. I like the Home Depot, the Lowe's, and the Generac. and then maybe Denny's if you get widespread power outages. So I just want to tell you, it's an art though. Like I said, you get long in the tooth in GNRC, you got to be real careful unless you got like 5 storms in a row coming. Now, there is another thing. A lot of people have asked me about that insurance stocks. So because now I got to tell you, every time on CNBC, I hear that insurance stocks are shorts with hurricane season. Totally wrong. Let me show you why. So we could put up BRK because they're into insurance. You could go put a pure play like MetLife. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. So what happens? MetLife goes down when the hurricane's coming, right here. And then it goes up. Why does it go up? Because they can raise rates. They don't usually raise rates because the University of Colorado predicts an active hurricane season. They raise rates after a hurricane hits. So every time on CNBC, I hear that these are shorts. They're not. Take it about 2 weeks afterwards. Serve the damage. They can raise their rates. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. Let's put up BRK. Hard to put on trade, so I'll show you here. Now, keep in mind when I show these, definitely keep in mind that we're combining it with chart patterns. So whether you play a 20 EMA, you play a squeeze, whatever, you got to have 3 reasons. So just keep in mind that when Home Depot rallied, it also had an hourly bull flag way back here. Hourly bull flag. So then you had more than one reason. So you had the hurricane, sure, but you had an hourly bull flag. Now it's a little dicey. So let me just tell you, if I saw a big old hurricane coming and I saw Home Depot have a beautiful bull flag, I would be doing a call debit spread. When it's developing a pattern, we do it as call butterflies because it's developing. That's why we're in butterflies right now. We went over on Friday and we're up about 15% in it. So just, definitely keep that in mind. But let's go put BRK in here because I want to show you this and I want to go back to here. And by the way, in the essentials room, don't be afraid to mention our success in GNRC. It always helps me. So what did BRK do? Here we go again. Went down into the hurricane. Well, sort of up. Went down because everybody thought there was a lot of damage. And then guess what? It went crazy. It went up almost 50 points. 50 points. So after they surveyed the damage, it went nuts. Now, keep in mind, right here, it went up also, right when the hurricane developed. But I'd rather go for the pure plays of the Home Depots in the world. So just to let you know. Now, you could go into normal, some other ones like water treatment. Did this do anything? Not the same. As you see, at first it went up a little, then it got nailed. Just keep in mind this slope. So this slope right here, it went down to test the low. Home Depot was already doing that. So now you see why I'd rather play the Home Depot. Now, don't get me wrong. If you get massive flooding and messes with the water system, this is going to work. But what do you notice in here? That's your chart pattern. It's a better buy up here than down here. I like when you have multiple points of contact. As you see, it worked beautiful. So just, definitely keep that in mind. So what else are we watching in here? Well, number one, where do you look for the hurricane? Well, the best is, and I know a lot of you know I obsess about this site, spaghettimodels.com. It's worked great. So when you saw that thing churning out in the Atlantic, that's why we bought GNRC. Wasn't a coincidence that it worked. So when you go into spaghetti models, let me get it up here. There you go. So there's your level 1 hurricane right up here already in Houston and all that. Bad memories with Katrina and all that. But what do you notice about the rest of the tropics? There's nothing. I'm telling you, the Home Depots of the world explode more when you see the tropics have something going on. Now, before any of that, though, I look at this. Now, keep in mind, the whole reason that I became pretty good at this is because I grew up in Florida, lived in Florida a long time from 2008 to 2018. So we obsessed about hurricanes. So we were near the coast. So the East Coast. So I'm watching these right here. Watching that. So you might say, why aren't you watching this? I'll show you why. Because when you put in a real time all the way down here, you're going to see that's doing nothing. This is going away from the East Coast. It's those I'm watching. As you see, they're not doing much yet. See all that? But you see the whole row of them. It just seems right now like some shear or something is keeping them from really exploding. But if you see one after another be big old red like this, like that, and just explode, then you're going to look for the Home Depots of the world of doing more aggressive ideas. So these things seem to work. So if I see it go this way, I'm more likely to buy Hormel and buy some of the liquor stocks. So, and buy Denny's. So, and it depends on the power of the storms. But I'm telling you, I try to make money any way I can. So if I can make money in hurricane stocks, I will. If we can make money in Broadcom because they have a split coming, then I will. But we'll make money any way we can. That's what I've been doing for 43 years. Always trying to find a way to make money. And, keep that in mind. So that doesn't mean to just go and blindly buy something. But I'm telling you, when you go and see this, let's just take it back here. So you already saw what happened. And thanks, Billy, for saying that. If you go back to here, so you see right here, and you see that Home Depot was doing this. Right. Get it up here. Right there. Right for the S&P. Now, keep in mind, it's an art. What do I mean by that? That was fast. That was 269 to 291. You got to be out after the damage is assessed. After the damage is assessed, and it's a lot, that's when you buy the insurance stocks. So let's just right here. So that's right when it developed. Right in here. That's September 27th. So we're going to take the rewind function in Thinkorswim. And we're going to take we could take a 4-hour chart. And we're going to go to September. We'll go to, let's say, October 7th. That's about when it had its maximum. So now what do you notice? What do you notice right here? So that's September 30th. That's September 30th. Does everybody see what I see? Yeah, you got a bull flag going. Look at that. So now you're combining the hurricane stuff with a bull flag. Then what are you noticing? You're noticing the gap right here. Or let's say, put it this way. If it gets over this bull flag, it has nothing till up here. So let's fast forward now. Now, keep in mind, at that time, the S&P was going down, not up. So this is definitely hurricane influenced and seasonal influenced. So definitely keep that in mind. So let's go into October 7th. Oh, you see the bull flag. You see the breakup. And almost filled the gap. That's a big move. That's 280 to 292. When I see that kind of bull flag, I'm much more likely, even though it closed on the low that day, I'm much more likely to do it as a call debit spread. Call debit spread. Now, I get a little creative that if I see it developing in here, I'll do a call fly above the market because it hasn't developed yet into a tight pattern. So that worked too. Once it had a bull flag, that's different. But it stopped first in this level. Keep in mind, prior bottoms and prior tops become resistance. And it's a zone. Anybody that tells you its exact price, they're full of it. So there's your zone. So the first rally was to that zone. What's that mean? That means you can do a spread as it's developing with the middle strike at the resistance. So both of these worked. Really a beautiful thing. So how about GNRC? Remember, it's different. In September, generac doesn't work the same. Sure enough, it went straight down. Generac is a play in June and July. Look at this. There you go. I mean, May, June, after the earnings. It's just amazing on how it's the cyclical kind of nature of this. So if you go and take Denny's, let's go and take that sucker. Did that do anything? A little. Not as tight a pattern as Home Depot. So how about Lowe's? Let's go put the Lowe's in there. Yeah. Not as tight as Home Depot. Yeah, it just seems Home Depot works better. I've just seen it a million times. Home Depot works better. All right, let's take a liquor company again. Let's take Budweiser. I went up a little, not a lot. So it did gap up at first. How about Molson? No, a little, not a lot. So as you see, the pure play is Home Depot. So definitely the pure play is Home Depot. So like I said, though, right now, what do you do? Well, right now, you're not seeing the storms. Yeah, you have one here. And like I said, I don't want to diminish the importance if you live there. I'm talking about how it influences these stocks. So I do think this, though, when I see this and I see Caterpillar doing this, not on demand. I'm going to take off the on demand. And I watch Caterpillar doing this. And I'm watching Deere. I'm talking about economically sensitive doing that. The only reason to me that Home Depot's up is because that storm. So you got to be out fast. Don't get me wrong. You've already seen that after the damage is assessed, you got to be out of the Home Depots. How about Lowe's? Yep, that's gone up. So then you got the divergence. You got the economically sensitive, like the Dow Jones Transport's getting hit. But you got the Home Depot and the Lowe's going up. So pretty interesting in here. How about lumber? Nah, not doing anything. Remember, you got to combine it with a chart or a developing pattern. So how about Constellation Brands? No. I don't like these things I call big red candles. So it's not necessarily always a reversal candlestick, but it's a big red candle in my book. So no. How about BECN Roofing? It's getting there. It's acting better than it did. How about Fluor? It's a construction stock. It's acting great anyway. In fact, let's go to on demand and see what that did back then. Well, it went nuts. Look at that. So let's take the group now. Lowe's, Home Depot, Generac, Fluor, Denny's. So that's where you are. Now, I've gone through a lot of iterations. Like, my wife's like, look up things with like condom makers because there's huge birth rate stuff going on when the power's out. So, but I couldn't find a good correlation. So my wife was trying to help. So Beth. So my wife Beth. But we couldn't figure out a good one with that. So couldn't find a good one with that. So I didn't find a good one. So we looked. We didn't see it. So like I said, Mattel and Hasbro, not really. Even though that makes sense. Got another one though. We just mentioned Denny's, Lowe's, Home Depot, Floor. Well, I got one more for you, and that would be this. Let me get Energizer. What's Energizer doing a thing? You would think it would go up. Here we go again. You better be fast. This is before the broad market went up. Yeah, it went up about 10%. But just not the sustainable kind of rally like you saw in the Home Depot and Lowe's. So just, so like I said, this is just a creative idea for you, but I've just seen a lot of these work. So in here. Now, you might ask about lumber. I think it's a great question about lumber. And the problem is it's really hard to find the right, what is the right contract. So I would do it like this. I would go into FinViz. We use FinViz a lot for screening, because this has like a continuous contract. And you go into FinViz. I haven't even logged in. Now you go into futures and the softs. Sort of ironic, the softs are have wood in them, but that's a different story. All right, so here's lumber. When has lumber had the most massive rallies? Now, see, it doesn't go far enough back, but right here. Yeah, that's right when the hurricane hit. It went from 519, little black box on the right. Went from 519 to 650. Like I said, you got to be fast on these things. But if I see a big old hurricane developing, I'm probably going to go buy the wood ETF. Just keep in mind when you're looking at these things, you like to combine it with a chart. I would have much rather liked it if it was testing that trend line. Number two, you might say it doesn't trade a lot, 2,000 shares, but spreads are tight and it follows the futures. So as long as the spreads are tight, I don't have a problem buying it. I wish the options traded more, but they don't. But just wanted to show you a kind of idea when it comes to this stuff. So yeah, marine parts. That's why I had MPX up here. Well, let's look. It's a great question. And here we go again. Northeast might be different than Florida. What did Marine Max do? Well, it had a nice little move right here, but not that much. Just didn't sustain it like Home Depot did. But let's go back. So like I said, I showed the list of hurricanes. And then you're like, well, where would it affect it the most? You got to think Florida. So into here. Not Georgia, go to Florida. You can go to Wilma. That was a big one in 2005. I remember a lot of people redoing boats. Matthew, big one. So, Irma, big one. That's a cat 4. So let's go to September 10th on 2017. It's a good question. September 7th, 2017. I don't know if Marine Max goes back that far. I think it does. I thought it did. Yeah, I know it did because we shopped a Marine Max. So we're talking about right in here, and sure enough, it went up. Didn't go up a lot. So keep in mind, though, Matthew was a little later. And Irma was a big one, too. Irma was September 10th. So as you see, it went up. So how about How about Matthew the year before? So Matthew was October 7th. And the key is, how long does it take them to react to it? As you see, it didn't do anything. But what did it do a week later? Nothing. So it just doesn't work the same. It's fascinating. It just seems to work with the ones I showed you. So everybody, thanks for being with me. Hope this helped you some, and I will talk to you later.